Hey, welcome to Jeremy Snell's recruitment training. If you're looking to deepen your capabilities, if you're seeking to improve your productivity and your performance, this is the channel for you. In every episode, I will unpack practical and tactical things that you can do to help you to think with greater clarity, make better decisions, and ultimately make more money. Feel free to subscribe, feel free to like and to comment. And now let's get on with today's topic. Hey people, welcome. We are back for our second installment of the sessions, which are all about the building of custom GPTs, specifically for recruiters, and probably more valuable than anything, they are designed to help to influence revenue in the positive. Today is the first day that we will be looking at a specific GPT. The assistant that we are building today is called Lyra. I'll share more information about Lyra as we progress. I'll give you a live demonstration. I'll answer any questions that you may have. And I think, or I'm hoping, most importantly, I will show you how to build your own version of Lyra from the ground up. Prompt by prompt, we will instruct ChatGPT to build an assistant who does exactly what I show you when I bring Lyra up on screen, in terms of being able to do the research that is required, that helps to be able to fuel your account-based marketing strategies to convert prospects into customers. So for those of you who are here for the first time, there is a hub. The hub you can see in the ticker below, right? Join the free hub. www.ai4recruiters.co.uk. The hub is there and it has recordings of every session. So if you missed last week's session, we looked at how to create your tone of voice so that ChatGPT, whether it is through the assistants that we build or is in standard GPT mode, sounds like you because you have educated it on how you think, how you operate, and what you stand for. And we also looked at how to build your ICP, and the more granular you are with your definition of your ICP, the easier it is to be able to feed things into your GPTs and start to do outreach that lands and outreach that converts into meetings and inquiries and ultimately good business. So if you missed last week, join the hub. You can grab the downloads which are associated with it. There are some guidebooks that I've also written. There are some videos. Everything which is in there is 100% free, because I decided to do this 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, I was in the kitchen feeling a little bit frustrated with all of the noise that revolved around AI, all of these people who had super inflated opinions about what AI is, what AI can do, where we shouldn't be using it, and so rarely actually seeing somebody step forward and say, here, have a look. This is how it is working. This is how it does that task. This is how it does that activity. And at the same time, hearing all of these conversations that revolved around AI will do the heavy lifting, AI will do all of the admin. I want AI to help me to make money. And I'm sure that moving the admin out the way gives me time to make money. I still need to be able to ensure I'm doing something which is worthwhile in all of the time that I save with the admin that I'm no longer doing. So I built 5 GPTs. Each of which has a specific purpose. Each of these GPT assistants is there so that you can have your own bench of AI assistants to help you with key tasks so you can become more productive and you can become more efficient. Today's GPT, Lyra. Lyra is the buyer intent analyst. Now, in terms of Lyra, what I've put together, and if you're already a member in the hub, you'll be able to get your copy of this PDF. So this is the guidebook that I've written. This is how to be able to get the most out of Lyra as an assistant. And you can see that from the contents page, everything that you need to help you to be able to, having built the assistant, make sure you are getting the most out of the power in the engine that you've created. So as it walks through how to be able to get the most out of it, how to be able to utilize Lyra as your buyer intent analyst, I'm quietly confident it will sharpen your targeting of sales messaging, sharpen the quality of lists that you're building, of organizations that you want to approach, and starts to find yourself in a position where you are getting more meetings with more clients who actually look like the sorts of businesses that you want to work with. So the guidebook is there for you to be able to take totally free as of now. Alongside the guidebook, what I've also put together is this. This is the prompt pack. And in the prompt pack, so if I pick up my prompt pack here, in the prompt pack, I've put together step-by-step process on the buttons to press in the GPT to create your assistant, how to actually feed it with the right prompts, how to be able to stress test it, how to be able to make sure it is delivering the results that you're looking for, how to troubleshoot that. And also for those of you who are business owners, L&D professionals inside recruitment agencies, or nominated subject matter experts for AI in your business, I've also put guide notes in here as to how you roll out a centralized process to build GPTs on behalf of the team, and then how to be able to make sure that they are delivering to expectation, so that we don't find that the team are going rogue, building their own things, and we have something which is fit for purpose with the right tone of voice and the right value propositions and the right approach to market. Make sense? And then of course there is all of the pages of the prompts that I have written. Each of those prompts is in the sequence with which we would upload them. So you can take the PDF, you can cut and paste the prompts that I've created, drop them straight into the GPT, and start to be able to create your own build. Nice, right? So let me get rid of this from screen. We'll have a look at Lyra. When we have a look at Lyra, I'm just going to open up my GPT and firing up the old GPT. I have to say I'm pleased that we're doing this today and not yesterday, because Cloudflare going down yesterday pulled a lot of technology with it, and one of them was ChatGPT. We're back, we're up, and we're running. So the build that we're creating, let me screen share with you what we're doing here. So I'm going to just bring up on stage Lyra. He clicks add to stage. It mirrors, so we get that strange fractal thing which is going on. Let me bring Lyra into front and center on the screen. Let me get rid of all of that sidebar so that there's a bit more real estate for Lyra. So here we can see that Lyra, I've prompted Lyra, and in the prompt I've put, hey Lyra, give me a buyer intent report for this business, and I've then added the URL. The URL that I've put in is a real engineering business that is at the bottom of the main road here. So it's an organization I drive past every day. I'm still a very curious individual. I still have that recruiter brain, and I drive past things and go, that's a large building. That looks like a modern premises. That looks like they've got some interesting stuff going on in it. I wonder what they do. So I took the URL of their website. The business is called Capula, www.capula.com. And I've then said to Lyra, I work in engineering recruitment, and I place a blend of installation and electrical engineers and electrical designers. I'm both contract and perm focused. Can you give me your recommendations as to viability as a perm or contract prospect? So I'm really asking it to do some research on this business based upon the URL, based upon all of the credentials that it can find through other sources that we'll get into later. And it now creates for me this report. So we can see that we've got an executive snapshot. And in the executive snapshot, we have an assessment of Capula as a business. It gives me information about location. It gives me information about headcount. It gives me an idea as to the types of people that they employ, the nature of their business, and the things that they do. Everything which is green is proven data. Everything which is blue is data that then has an interpretation along with it. And as we go down, anything which is yellow, you can see that it highlights it as speculation. So what I've asked the assistant to do, as it does its research, present it to me in a way that visually I can see what is proven undeniable fact? What is an interpretation of a fact that helps me as a recruiter start to make good decisions about approaches and conversion to business? And what is speculation? But what is good speculation based upon an assessment of a marketplace, an assessment of an industry or a sector, so that I can start to look at those speculations and think about how they relate to the proven and the interpreted data to start to help me to create some approaches. So we have an executive snapshot. We then get the buyer intent signals. We have a hiring activity deep dive. And we can see here it's pulled through things from Indeed, from Glassdoor, from Total Jobs. There is some interpretation that revolves around the volume of hiring and the fact that there is hiring taking place at the moment within electrical and design, predominantly for perm, and some speculation. It was speculating here that the presence of contract roles suggests a willingness to hire non-permanent staff, and that bodes well if you are a contract recruiter. Remember, I told Lyra I have a dual desk perm and contract. We then have a list of outreach triggers. We have identified prospective decision makers. We have an email pattern and a contacting recommendation. So it's looked at the email patterns using the domain and looked for patterns that exist on the internet to start to suggest that it is first name dot last name at. We have recommended messaging hooks based upon what's been discovered. We have source coverage. We have regional lookalike companies. We have temporary recruitment indicators, and we then have some optional industry framing, which starts to make some interpretations on this business and other businesses that it feels are similar to start to create some sector-wide or industry-wide trend patterns that we could start to use to help us with additional sales planning. So the buyer intent report is a really useful way to be able to, as I did, drive past a business and go, that looks interesting, grab the website, stick it into here, and away we go. Also, you could set yourself 25 target clients, use this to do the research and the outreach planning for the 25 businesses, and start to put more of your attention into a smaller list of organizations. After the response here, it makes some recommendations. I've now asked it to progress to a full battle card. So Lyra has been shown what a full battle card would look like. And I've asked her to identify for me the relevant decision makers. And she quite rightly has said, I need more information to create a battle card. I need to know more about roles and your niche and how you calibrate your service offering, understanding your geography and understanding of your candidate value positioning as to what makes you different from a client's perspective in terms of the types of candidates that you work with and how you source them, commercial priorities for me and my business, my communication style. And once I've confirmed A to E, we'll get the battle card. So I chose to only answer half of the questions to stress test it. And as I answered half of the questions, Lyra says, that gives me strong clarity on questions A to C. I still need D to E before I progress. I appreciate that this might be like, oh, I just want my battle card. If we rush to the output without sharing with the assistant the information that she needs to be able to produce it, we get something which is too dilute, too based upon assumption. We fall in danger of Lyra starting to hallucinate. And we hear people talk about ChatGPT and its hallucinations. Let's make sure it's not happening in our own AI assistants, people. So as I answer the final questions, I then get my battle card. How to approach. And in how to approach, there is LinkedIn approaches, phone-based approaches, how to anchor in the pain, email approaches, a video message, a personalization checklist, talk tracks that have been mapped to my niche, the top 3 reasons that I should be reaching out now. So we can see number 1, nuclear and utilities workload is increasing in that particular business, which means high value cleared labor is required. So if you're going to be working in a nuclear facility, you're going to need to have security clearance. We've got a decision maker map here where we've identified the titles of the relevant decision makers. And then as we go down through the rest of the battle card, we then get the named decision makers, their job title, their key focus area, and why they matter for my business development. So now that I have my battle card, I have everything that I need to start to plan my outreach. Sophie's question, if consultants specialize in markets and geographies, can we standardize that information so she wouldn't need to confirm things every time? 100%. I have written this agnostic. So this is not briefed as an assistant to be, oh, and I'm an engineering recruiter and I cover Staffordshire and I only do temp. And I've chosen not to flavor it so that you have it and you can choose to add your own flavors. So your flavor could be that we create a prompt which is all about you, your business, and your value proposition. All of those questions that I've been asked, we could create a prompt which is the answer to all of those questions, bake it into the custom GPT so that it doesn't need to keep on asking me those questions. So you could do that for your business, or you could do that at a desk level. Or if you have a team of people who have different desks in different markets, we could create the template of a prompt. When we create the template of the prompt, the consultant has already written the prompt, which is, hi, help me to do a battle card, but already has all answers to all of the questions, because there's no need to keep on typing it and typing it and typing it and typing it. So there's a couple of different options to be able to deal with it. Cool, no problem. Thank you very much. So let me come back from here, and I'm going to come back to here. I'm just going to remove that for a moment. So I've shown you what Lyra can do. As I was explaining to Sophie, the Lyra I have built is vanilla, agnostic. It is for you to add your own chrome pieces, your own bit of bling, your own little prompts. And I'll show you where I would do that. And there is an element of experimentation that as we take something which is agnostic, as I've built, and we start to adapt it, I'll show you how we can keep on testing it to be able to make sure it is becoming the thing, the entity, the assistant that you need it to be, so you have more confidence in the quality of its outputs from get-go, rather than continuous question and answer refinement basis. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to pause for a second because I would like to have a drink of water. If you have questions, people, stick the questions into the chat, because what I'm going to do next is begin the build. And the moment that I begin the build, I'll be sharing my entire screen, lessons from last time, moving from GPT to Word as independent screen shares was a bit of a slow process, so apologies. I've got a better way to do it this time. Okay, excuse-moi. So I'm going to go back to my GPT, and with my GPT, actually that's a bit unfair. I better show you what I'm doing from cold. So I'm going to go back to screen sharing again. We get the weird fractal. What I'm going to bring up on screen now is my GPT. Ta-da! Good to see you, Jeremy. And in the GPT, over on the left-hand side, we can see it says Explore. If I click Explore, there is then a set of GPTs here which have been built by other people, and they're kind of there to browse. What I want to do is to go to the top right here, and I'm going to click Create. When I click Create, we're going to begin the process of building our own GPT. Now, I appreciate some of you who are online, you've already done this. I know that some of you have messaged me to say, I've built my own GPTs. How do I enhance? How do I make them better? Patience. We need to make sure that everyone's in the same place, right? So I'm going to click Create GPT. Now that we're in Create GPT, we have a split screen, all in ChatGPT. Left-hand side, you can see it says Create and Configure. The left-hand side, so if I move my cursor over here, this left-hand side, this is where we build. Over here on the right-hand side, this is where we can test and preview. So you've got two entry points. On the left, ask anything. On the right, ask anything. We're doing everything on the left, people. We're creating it on the left. And as we create it on the left, from time to time, we will test it with the box which is on the right. So please make sure that as you're building from the left, okay? We dress to the left. So here where it says ask anything, I'll help you to build a new GPT. And we begin by describing what is the GPT that we want to build. So I'm going to go to my prompts and I'm going to go to prompt number 1. Prompt number 1, you can see here, is in the Word document. Prompt number 1 also exists in the book of prompts. And in the book of prompts, it is the first prompt. So you can take the prompt. So I'm going to pick up this prompt, copy it, and you can see that the prompt is explaining to the GPT, this is who you are. You are Lyra, a buyer intent analyst. This is your purpose. This is your function. This is what you're going to do. And the second paragraph, I've created a list of triggers that are triggers to indicate a business may be in a process of about to hire or currently hiring. So the list of triggers: mergers, acquisitions, divestments, investments in technology and equipment, new locations, new territories, new product launches, right? All of those you'll be familiar with as being reasons why clients decide, I think we need to hire. And of course, we have things like levers and we have things like recruitment itself as triggers. These instructions, we need to give the GPT first and foremost an understanding of who am I and what is it that you want me to do. So when I pick up the prompt and I stick it into the instruction window and I press return, the build begins. So we can see that the prompt is there. It now has a little thinky. And as it has a little thinky, it's going to ask me some questions. The first question that it's going to ask me will be, what do you want to call this GPT? You've already seen that I have a GPT which is called Lyra. So what it is going to do is going to generate a new GPT. So I can't have 2 called Lyra because that's just going to mess with my head and probably with the GPT. So I'm going to have to give it a different name for the purpose of this build. And it's also generating a profile picture. You saw that we have our own profile pictures that we've created for our GPTs. It looks as though the image generator has had a bit of an error, but I'm just going to rename the GPT, rename this Lyra the Second. So as we rename it Lyra the Second, you can now see on the right hand side the name has changed, Lyra the Second. Would you like to regenerate the profile picture for her now? I'm just going to put no, because it's just going to add more to the work bit. So it now says, would you like to refine how she analyzes or presents recruitment signals next? Now it's asking me questions, and in a kind of cheeky way, it's suggesting you probably haven't thought about your workflow here. So I'm going to help you to build a workflow that feels logical. I have thought about my workflow. So I'm quite within my rights to ignore this question and to continue the build as I see fit. So I'm going to go back to my Word documents and I'm going to go to prompt number 2. And prompt number 2, this is a 3-page Word document, which is the core persona for Lyra. We have her identity. We have her background and her worldview. So you remember last week I was talking about the importance of giving a persona to a GPT. We brief these machines. We don't ask it questions. So because we brief it, we need to brief this buyer intent analyst on exactly what their background is so that they can assume that persona. So we've got career history, we have commercial orientation, we have the analytical bias, seeks causation, not necessarily correlation, distinguishes between noise and momentum, has a tone of voice, has a set of language, has phrasing, has personality anchors, has behavior directives for the GPT itself, which is more technical, and then has a summary as to how we want Lyra to behave. So with these facets of the prompt, it gives the GPT a lot of color as to how we wish it to operate. So it removes the GPT's need to start to invent things based upon assumptions or based upon its perceptions of a worldview that it thinks we should have simply because we work in recruitment. So I go back to my GPT, I add in the extra large prompt, and we upload it. The GPT now captures that. It starts to update. And as it starts to update, Lyra has now been fully updated with her commercial intelligence persona and her operating style. Would you like me to add automated confidence scoring and prioritized formatting? High, medium, or low? Remember, I had color coding, so it's kind of going in the same direction as I am doing my build. I would like to add a little bit more sophistication. Now, this is the first place in the build, people, where I'm going to pause, because I've given it an identity, and I've given it a personality, and I've given it some core operating instructions. What we haven't done yet is actually create. So in the top right hand corner, it says create. I'm now going to create. When I click create, it's a bit like I'm saving my progress. And when I save my progress, so I'm now going to save my progress. Anyone who has a link to it, so I can share it with a colleague, they can use the GPT. If I now save it, it saves my progress. We need to wait for it to do its little updatey thing. So it does its little updatey thing. And it now asks, do I want to view the GPT? And there is the link. So I could share that link with a colleague. I'm just going to close that with the X. Now that I close it with the X, the top right-hand corner no longer says create. The top right-hand corner says update. So now when I add my next prompt, I am updating a saved GPT. And this is an important consideration, people, because every time I now add a prompt, if I test it before I save it, I can make sure that I'm happy with its understanding of the prompt. As you build your custom GPTs, every time you add a prompt, it is worth doing a little test of its ability to be able to either summarize back to you its understanding, or its ability to be able to show you this is an output that I feel is in line with the instruction. Everyone happy with that? If you have any questions, feel free to ask. But we now have Lyra II in good to go mode. So I'm going to go to prompt number 3. And when I go to prompt number 3, people, prompt number 3 is the input device. So this is a description of the input device that I'm expecting somebody to give it as a minimum. This becomes your opportunity, people, to begin bespoking this for yourselves. You can like tweak all of the things that I've done in prompt 2, like tone of voice or technical parameters. What we're creating is a GPT assistant that is for internal use. So it's not necessarily going to be producing anything which is for external, unless you explicitly ask it to start to produce that. But here we could say the input from the prompter will be a URL. And every person who prompts will currently work in this market, doing this flavor of recruitment, covering this geographical territory, with this value proposition, with this candidate differentiator, with this route to market, with this track record. And you could start to give it here. This is who I am, and this is how I will prompt you. So if you are going to use it solo, just you could say, I will prompt you. I will be the chief prompter of this particular GPT. It is important that Lyra II understands my marketplace in the context of my prompt. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I specialize in. This is what I believe I create value with. If you want to have good questions to be able to answer, to create that part of the prompt, take Lyra as she is. Ask her to create a battle card, and she will then ask you all of the questions that she needs to be able to build the thing. And then when you share the answers to those questions in this particular prompt, we're good to go, right? Make sense? So I'm just going to pick up this prompt. This is the core input prompt. And I'm going to go back to my GPT. I'm going to share the core input prompt. It does a little thing. It updates the GPT. And as it's updating the GPT, it's trying to work out, where are you taking me? What are we building here? And it will start to ask me some questions to help it to generate more context. So as it updates itself, the thinking process is also it testing the iteration of what it is building to start to think about what might be missing if I were to be as efficient and as productive as possible to achieve the mission. So you can see it now ask the question, would you like the outputs to always follow quick read, snapshot, signals, hiring thesis, outreach angle, watch list, source log? So it's now thinking about, well, if these are the inputs and this is what I'm here to do, what do you want the output to look like? And because it's asking me about the output, I can either now be directed by its questions to define the output, or, as I've already prepared, have my outputs ready. So this is my description of the output. So here I've put, here are the sectional headers to be used for every initial report that is created. These need to be populated with evidence you have sourced through research. Run the report and present it in the order outlined below. It is non-negotiable to miss any of the sections from the report. Don't get lazy. This is what I'm asking for, so this is what I want to see. And this mirrors what it produced for Capula: executive snapshot, buyer intent signals, hiring activity deep dive, outreach triggers, prospective decision makers, email patterns and contacting, recommended messaging hooks, source coverage, regional lookalike prospects, temporary recruitment indicators, industry framing. So these are the outputs. These are the descriptions of the outputs. So I can now pick that up and go back to my GPT. No. So I'm going to answer its question. No. Follow this as the blueprint for outputs. And we now input the output prompt. Again, it's going to have a think, and then we're going to test it, people. So I'm going to show you two ways that we can test this. When we're testing things, we're testing one of three things. We're either testing its behavior, we are testing its stress tolerance. So can it cope with semi-relevant prompting? And then we're going to test real world outputs. So at the moment, I want to test its behavior. So we can see here it's confirmed, understood. The 11-section blueprint is now mandatory for every initial report, confidence scoring and full source validation. Drop the company URL you want analyzed, and I'll produce the complete report in that structure. So I'm just going to test it, but I'm going to test it on the left-hand side. So I'm going to ask it, what is your understanding of the purpose of this report, and what research will you conduct? Question mark. So I just want to test its behavioral understanding. And I'm doing this before I press update, because I want to make sure, is it creating the right, I'm going to use entirely the wrong phrase, but it's how I picture it. Is it creating the right neural network? It ain't a neural network, right? This isn't necessarily something that is building a brain. I just want to make sure, is it creating a workflow and a structure that is in line with my expectations? Hey, psst. If you've liked today's video so far, now's your opportunity to like, to subscribe, to make sure that you don't miss a single episode moving forward. Now let's get back to the video. So we can now see it's giving me a summary, commercial intelligence brief, who will be hiring, why now, how should we act, the research methodologies, the initial research that it will do on-site, extended cross-web validations, so business news, financial news, regulatory news, funding trackers, job boards, aggregators, press releases, official social channels, and how it's going to do data validation, and how it's going to synthesize this into an 11-section blueprint. I'm happy that Lyra II is forming the right processes, that now that we've got to this stage in the build, I'm clicking update again. I want to bake all of that in, and I'm baking that in now, because the next time I add something, if it then starts to go off in the wrong direction, I don't have to save it, and I can delete from its memory, forget the last prompt, and it still goes back to the last save point, which is now. Does that make sense? So I still don't want to go back to the thing. We're now here. It's now giving me the summary, and then from the summary, I can continue my build. So if I continue my build, we're now going to go to confidence scores, which is pretty much where it's questioning me, right? So this is the evidence confidence framework. proven, interpretation, speculation, and examples for each, an application process so that it can start to see how it's going to present it and why this matters to the report. So what you can see here, again, it is, I would consider it to be a granular and sophisticated prompt. You can edit as you see fit, right? I would rather give you a larger prompt and you have the opportunity to engineer it to something that was more agile or in line with your business. But I want you to see the logic as you go through the build, the logic of three things, the logic of why we're building this in the first place, the logic as to why we are creating the prompts that we are with the level of granularity that exists in them, because we don't want this thing to invent what good looks like. We tell it what good looks like. And thirdly, why we build it in the order that we build it. Because if we just took all 10 prompts and rogered them in without thought of order, the way that it's building its workflow could start to get a bit wonky. So I would prefer we did the build in the sequence of numbered order that I'm doing it here now. Because if, again, we take this, we add this to the GPT. Folks, I'm like at prompt number 5 now, 5 more to go. Is everyone happy with how I'm sharing this? It's not too, is it like, do we have to watch the whole thing being built? Do you have any questions for me about where I'm going with this? Because we're creating something that should feel like it is an investment in your business for at least the next 6 months to help to be able to refine targeting and sales planning, right? Now that we've got the evidence confidence framework in, we have that. If I jump to the right hand side here, and I'm going to stress test it. So I'm going to stress test it by asking it to do a analysis of a company without giving it the URL. Can you give me a buyer intent report for Bentley motor cars in Crewe? So now I'm on the right hand side because I want to test it in the real world environment. This is the thing that we'll be interacting with on the right. The thing on the left is the build. So I have asked it without the URL, hey, can you do this thing for me? It's identified the right company. It's given me the right address. It seems to be pulling through some information. We've got some opening of new engineering technical center taking place September 2025. We can see that it is creating some form of interpretation that revolves around hiring activity. We can see outreach triggers are starting to appear. We can see prospective decision makers are being identified. I would say that they're relatively senior. Not the end of the world, right? That's your market. That's your market, right? But I'm happy that even without the appearance of the URL, it has a workflow in place that suggests it knows what it's doing. So I'm going to go on. I'm going to go on and continue prompting, right? So I'm going to go to prompt number 6. Prompt number 6 here is the example annotated paragraph. So here I am sharing an example as to what good would look like so that it now has a benchmark. And now that it has a benchmark, and we drop that in here, you can see that I've shown it how to use the color coding. And because it now has an understanding of the color coding in the context of that particular paragraph, I think we will suddenly lose the preview on the right, because as it updates itself, everything which is on the right, everything on the right now is questionable because it now has new instructions. You can see it's now talking about those colors. A report for... So I'm asking it to do exactly the same thing. Can you give me a report for Bentley motor cars in Crewe? And can everyone see the difference now? So it's now giving me an executive snapshot using the color coding it's decided now I need a picture of the head office. I can confirm that's the head office. I've parked exactly there and had that view multiple times when I used to recruit for them. We've got the color coding is now coming through. We've got the same data. The presentation of it is becoming cleaner. The speed readability, therefore, is better. And I think we're getting close to having something which is good, you know? So I'm happy with this. So I'm going to click update. And now that I click update, everything that we have now done in terms of iteration, we're baking it into the system. And as we bake it into the system, we create update. We've done a behavioral test, which we did on the left-hand side. We've done a stress test by testing it without a URL to see if it's able to actually work out what we're talking about. Does it have enough logic already within its not brain to be able to do it? And we've also done a real world test to see what does the output look like, and are we happy with the quality of the output? So I think we're getting there, people. That leaves us with four more prompts. We have prompt 7, 8, 9, and 10. So if I show you the prompts, prompt number 7 is the battle card. Once the report has been generated, give the prompter the options. Would you like a full battle card? Would you like to refine the report further? We then talk about the purpose of a transition, how we transition from the analytical report to the battle card. The battle card is your engagement tool, right? The analytic report is, here is the state of the union about the business that you're looking at. You can run with it. You can do things with it. The battle card helps to create the interpretations so that the insights and the analysis starts to become your plan of attack, right? So here we define what a battle card looks like, the content of it, the tone, the detail levels, the output that's required, the audience that we're creating this for, and the additions to the battle card, how to approach, the personalization checklist, the tailored talk tracks, the top 3 reasons for timing the outreach to be now, a quick reference decision maker map, and an email verification summary. So as we now add the battle card, a new section in Create will now mean that we lose the preview pane on the right, which is totally fine. It should do that. He says, waiting, hoping GPT doesn't let me down. It's doing its little update. It's processing now the progression from analytical report to become battle card. It's now asking me, would you like the full battle card? Would you like to refine the report? It knows exactly the transition. Would you like me to add visual section headers or structured dividers, line breaks, icons, or section emojis? Section emojis, no, to make both report and battle card outputs more scannable for recruiters. So I am going to ask it to do that. Yes. Icon based. Wait, need to be typing in the box. Yes, icon based structured dividers. So now that's a micro prompt. It's not part of the pack. It's a micro prompt where it has asked me a question, and I felt, you know, I feel that could add a little bit more value to this thing. It does its little update thing again. As it's doing its little update thing, let's go back to the Word document. So we've put prompt number 7 in. Let's have a look at prompt number 8. Prompt number 8 is failure protocols. So if you're unable to open a designated site shared, here's the exact protocol to follow when either the target company URL or domain can't be accessed directly, so that we can still find information. So we're asking it now to confirm failure mode. This is what to do as an internal diagnostics. This is how to use verified alternative web traces, particularly looking at things like Wayback Machine, so that it can find previous incarnations of the website, using corporate registrations to be able to find the business, social and professional footprints, press and media mentions, trade directories, everything that if the website ain't working, it's not an excuse to produce nothing. So we copy our failure report or our failure toolkit, give it to the GPT. While it's having a little process of that, let's have a look at prompt number 9. optional enhanced battle card. So here, these are the questions that it needs to ask to help it to create the most relevant battle card possible. This could be the answer to Sophie's question that revolved around consultants in specialist markets with specific geographical territories. If you have all of the answers to these questions, I'm giving it this prompt so that it finds out the answer because it's agnostic. If we shared all of the answers here, we could upload that as prompt number 9, and therefore it doesn't need to ask the questions because it has baked into it the answers to all of the things that we're going to share. You could still say, here is the description of everything that we do and how we operate. Please make sure you ask these questions because there could still be desk specific or role specific things, but I think that for completeness, I'm just going to add it is as it is. And then finally, we go to prompt number 10, where I close it out by telling it, this is my expectations in terms of the size of the reports that are produced. 1,500 to 2,500 words. Full battle card, 2,500 to 3,000. Be explicit, be detail orientated, give full insights and color. Neither should feel like a snapshot report. Be rigorous when you research and granular with your findings. Apply a source diversity rule of a minimum of 5 sites used to build out the insight report. Take your time. The output is commercially valuable and when done well, will create immense value. So act accordingly. Check your own work. If you need additional insight and content, find it. So we close with a summary to help to be able to direct the behaviors to ensure that we're not getting into a world of hallucinations or shortcuts or overly rapid research because it found enough stuff. Like GPTs can do that. They can go, oh, okay, I'll go and find some stuff. Oh, I found loads on the first thing that I looked at, so that's good enough. It ain't good enough. Go look at more places. Just because you've got a pocket full of things, don't decide you've got everything that you need. There'll be more. Go find me more. So as we add that final instruction, we now have a completed version of Lyra the second. And now we can test. Now we can start to field test. Now we can start to iterate on the content of the engine based upon user experience. So as we finish this update, so I'm going to let this do its little update here, people. Then I'm going to update it. Then we have something which is fit for purpose, go to market. Let's run with this. At the moment, I've built it, so it belongs to me. If I share a link with you, you can use it. However, it still belongs to me. So if I make a change in it, you have no control over that, right? It belongs to me. When you build your own, it belongs to you and it sits inside your GPT account. When somebody else uses mine, they're using their credits, not mine. So because they're using their credits, not mine, they can use it on a free account, they can use it on a plus account, they can use it on a pro account. If we go to view the GPT, we now have Lyra the second, ready to go, who produces rigorous long-form commercial intelligence reports and prescriptive battle cards with diverse sources. Fun, right? So let me come back and find all of you. Hello. Hi. Not that I can see you, but I'm back. Built. Usable. And as we use it and we start to identify things that perhaps we would want to change. So if I hit this button, I'll go back to it, right? So there we go, back on a shared screen. Here, now that I'm in Lyra the second, up in the top left, the drop down, edit the GPT. So if I want to change the GPT, I can now add things to the GPT. It takes me back to the creation and configuration windows. And from here, I can start to add more things. So if, for example, I wanted to add a library of things that it used as reference points, like maybe I added a library to say, here's 10 really good ones that we've developed in the past. Use these as the benchmark. I could keep on educating it so that it becomes stronger and stronger. If it keeps coming back with too thin a description, I could then strengthen this and say, non-negotiable rule, moving forward, every single version of this needs to be more robust in that. So I can keep going back to edit it. Only the person who created it can do that edit. You share the link with a team member, you share the link with somebody else. They can only use it as a user. They can't edit it as an administrator. So you have a robustness of control. This is why I feel it's really important that businesses who adopt AI and start to create some centralizations of these are the core assistants that we're going to use. It creates something really powerful to roll out amongst the team, because otherwise you could end up with a collection of individuals who are all going a little bit rogue with their own versions of different things, some of them great and some of them less so, and it starts to become a liability. Let's put it that way. Question. So Ryan says, wondering if you have tested Lyra against her ability to run through a list of companies. Let's say we had 100 or even 1,000 companies in a market. Could she run at that volume to help grade and prioritize, or would we create a slightly different GPT to do this? I would create a different GPT to do that, Ryan. I would create a GPT that did the light work. So let's say you've got 1,000 companies. So if I put the 1,000 companies into a spreadsheet, and I shared a spreadsheet with a GPT, I would instruct the GPT, these are the 5 most important things that I want you to identify. These are the 3 most important things. So I give it, like, these are the headline bits. You do those, and then come back to me with the list of the organizations that meet those criteria. Like, if I just try and make it easy for my own pea-sized little brain, here's a list of 1,000 companies. Come back to me and let me know which of these companies are based in York and have got a finance department and are involved in food. So it could go and do all of that. Out of the 1,000 companies you've given to me, here is 4, or here is 40, or here is, and then I could take those and then start to prioritize which ones would I put through Lyra. If you want to create something that becomes a single GPT to do that, you could. I think it's more likely to be an agent than an assistant, because it will need to go off and do that work. So if you did it as an agent, and you built an agent and you gave the agent access to a Google sheet, you could ask the agent to go do work and to start to populate a Google sheet. So it could be the Google sheet has got the 1,000 companies in it, and as an agent, it does, I don't know, 10 a day, 15 a day, 20 a day. But because it's an agent, you're then using tokens at a faster rate, which may, according to the account version that you're on, at some point needs to be throttled. The other option is you take your 1,000 companies and you use Clay to enrich the data about those businesses, and you use the prompts that I've described here. You feed those prompts into Clayagent, which is the AI agent baked into Clay, and you use Clayagent to run all of those prompts to do the analysis for you. Again, Clay runs on credits, and it's making sure that you protect your credits. So if you use you would need a GPT Pro account, but you could then use your GPT Pro account to feed the credits into Clay. So you're not using Clay credits, you're using your GPT credits, and they would cost you like 0.001 pence per thing, rather than costing you what might be 20 pence per thing. I'm not sure if all of that made sense, Ryan, but I hope you're with me in how I'm describing that. If you want to do something at scale, it probably is an agent. And if it's truly at scale, like 1,000, I'd use an agent for 100, but 1,000, I'd be using Clay and linking Clay to my GPT account. Michael, hey, can you save and make a copy of the GPT somewhere along the way to create regional versions without having to start again? Yes. So if I go back to my GPT, I'm going to be screen sharing again for you, Michael. I go to my GPT. So let's say I got halfway through the build and I click the update button. once I've done the update, there's then an option to be able to duplicate. So I could duplicate it and I could have Lyra the second, Lyra the third, Lyra the fourth. So here it says GPT now updated, duplicate GPT, click duplicate. So now that I've given it all the, I don't know, the first 3 tiers, and then we're going into diversions, create the 3, duplicate, 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 and then go enrich, 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 enrich. Make sense? I hope so. I'm sure it does. And then Matthew. Yeah, no problem. Good. I'm glad you liked it. Build your own version of Lyra. Call it whatever you want, right? We're going to be building more assistants. Next week, we're building Orion. Orion is the case study builder. Orion will help you do that. You know, that work. Oh God, write a case study. Oh, yeah. You know, I often get asked by people, how do you write a case study? What should I have in it? Dude, you just need a story. So we'll look at how to use Orion to take a story that could be, once upon a time I got a job and I filled it, and this is what happened. And it will then take all of your garbles and start to create something that is a core case study, and then start to turn that into some outreach for you. Cool. So moving forward, people, if you haven't already done so, join the hub, ai4recruiters.co.uk. Everything that we have gone through, the book of prompts that you can cut and paste, it sits in the hub. Go get it. The guidebook on how to be able to get the most out of Lyra is there. Go get it. And remember, Lyra that I've built is agnostic. Lyra that I've built is, I can't help but say this, right? Lyra that I've built is so good, right? She's so good, but she could be great. She could be great for you because you give her a little bit more shizzle about your business. You give her a little bit more insight as to what good looks like for you. You give her a bit more of a flavor as to your value propositions and your route to market. She then becomes like legendary. And she's there in a $20 a month GPT account as an assistant. There are bits of software that are being sold out there today that aren't that different from Lyra. And they're looking for hundreds of pounds per month. There's value in starting to be able to look at how you have a little bit more control over the adoption of AI in the context of your business without having to be like some tech wizard. There's no tech wizardry in what we're doing here. It's a simple process of iteration. What I've done, like to give you the head start in building this, I've written the prompts. And you'll see that I've written the prompts pretty granularly, right? You can edit, you can do whatever you want with them, right? I'm not being precious about the prompts. Take a look at them and think about the order in which we're doing this, and think about the value of building your version of Lyra that you might end up calling, I don't know, Kevin. Go build yourself a Kevin. And if you want a link to the Lyra that I've built, there's Lyra the second, there's Lyra. They've been built with the same prompts, the same architecture. Yeah, use as you see fit. So I'm kind of getting to a point where I'm saying, I think I'm finished. I'm not finished. I've got stuff to do. You've got stuff to do. Go do some stuff. I'm going to go do some stuff. Take 10 minutes out before you go do some stuff. Like get your own thoughts down on paper. Do you know what would be really cool? What would be really cool would be to get your phone. I'm just looking on my phone's there. If I get my phone and I open ChatGPT and I press the button, which is voice, and I just talk. And if I spoke to my GPT and said, hey, look, I've just done this online session that was all about building GPTs. There's this thing called Lyra, and I just wanted to share a few of my thoughts and ideas with you so that you can reflect it back to me in a more structured format. You know, like talk to your GPT, get it to create some structure to your own thinking, and then go do what you want to do. Then you can go to your GPT to see your thoughts presented back in structure the moment that you'd finish the session. Then go to ai4recruiters.co.uk, grab the materials, sit down with a cold orange squash or a nice hot cup of coffee, click create and start the build. And you know, if you build it and it starts to get messy and yucky, you just go back one stage because you're saving as you go. Or you get to a point where you've overdone it and it's now not producing what you had originally intended. Delete it. Start again. Will this work in Perplexity? The prompts will work in Perplexity. You'll note that I've not done anything here in Perplexity because I'm like, I like ChatGPT for the reasons I shared last week, right? It's a nice all-round work engine. I'm sure that the prompts will work in Perplexity. I say that because it's a large language model, and what we're feeding it here is language. And because we're feeding it language that is coherent, it should be able to process it and understand it. The only things that I pause about is, will it be able to do like the color boxes? But hey, they're just hexadecimals, and I put the hexadecimal references in there, I'm sure. Let me know though, right? Give it a go. Let me know. Is there any one way to find out? Everyone good? No other questions? We've done our hour. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attendance. I appreciate your support. What I would massively like is some feedback. When we go back to aiforrecruiters.co.uk, there is a section called discussions. I'm going to put something there just as like a question. Give me some feedback. When you turn up to like grab all of this stuff, like this stuff is free. All of this is free. All I ask for is give me some feedback, give me some thoughts, be constructive, help me to think about the formats that for what we're doing here. I've enjoyed it. I appreciate you for being here. Whatever you've got planned for the rest of your day, go do it. Be powerful. Do it with a smile. Be kind to people and do yourself a favor. Do something with what we've done today, whether it is a Lyra or a Brian or a new idea that you've had, like Ryan wants to do something with 100 or 1,000, go build that. But remember, I feel that's agent as opposed to assistant. And I feel that if it's in major volume, it's clay as opposed to GPT. Hey, thank you for watching. If you want to continue to get access to more high quality training and coaching ideas to help you to stay inspired as a recruiter, make sure that you like, make sure that you subscribe, and check out the description below for relevant links to tools, frameworks, and other ideas to keep you moving forward. And I look forward to seeing you on another one very soon.